This new year, it's time to do wellness on your terms. That's where Ollie comes in. Thanks to their delightful gummies, you can actually get a good night's sleep. And you might finally stand a chance of staying focused. Because this is the year of you. Discover Ollie vitamins and supplements. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Join Jessica Smith on the Like a Girl podcast, where she defies odds, shares inspiring stories, and empowers women to embrace their inner leaders. Tune in for a transformative journey.
So I am on this team and I'm working as a sales engineer. And most of the accounts that I am supporting are in California. The irony, right? And I'm really excited because this opportunity, and maybe it had something to do with that, most of the people on this team supporting the accounts they're supporting, they have an automotive background, a dealership, or some sort of background. So again, I am just thankful for God's favor to allow me to be put in a position where I really don't have the background to support the job, but they're able to see the transferable skills that I do have where I'm overqualified for the job. So I think that, and this is something that I've been really fighting for since being in the company, because I think this is just in corporate America in general, that people are very focused on having certain qualifications and experience to be able to just bring someone in that they feel is more of a plug and play person. And I just think that's furthest from the truth. I think there's so many great people. There's so much great talent out there where people have transferable skills. I would take someone with no experience in the field that I'm in, none, but someone who has been successful in whatever they're doing, someone that has those skills of just grit, perseverance, tenacity, those type of skills, because the rest of that stuff can be taught. Those are things that you can learn. And so I'm just grateful that I was given a shot to be able to bring what I did know. And even though I wasn't in a leadership role at this time, the accounts that I supported, I'm always going to show up and lead. That's just naturally who I am, and be a good partner and work together and do what I have to do. And if that means I have to roll up my sleeves and just get out there and get the job done, that's what I bring to the table. So I'm supporting these accounts. And what was cool about what they allowed me to do is that these accounts had never had the support of this team. So this sales support team really focused on larger accounts, supporting salespeople at the director level role. And maybe the strategy was that would be a good starting point for me. Whatever the case may be, it was a great opportunity. I was thankful. And also, the woman that I was in the interview with for this role, the last round of the interviews, and I believe she was the AVP at this time, and she looked at my resume and she's like, okay, you're an inside sales rep at this point? She's like, well, obviously, we are underutilizing you, and we definitely want to give you an opportunity that aligns more with your background, skill set, and experience. So I don't know if this was planned out or intentional, but I get the job, and the org was her org that I ended up supporting. So super thankful for that. And I'm out there. I got to travel a lot. I'm in California, and we're in a leadership meeting with the AVP and the director and the senior director at that time. And we're just talking about strategy, the leadership, the territories. And I said, so I know that I've only been supporting this org at this time. It was probably less than 6 months. And I said, but one thing that I identified is that there is so much opportunity here in California. And I noticed that the leader that is supporting this territory lives on the other side of the country. So I think that there is probably enough big accounts in California to actually have a leader living in the market in California to support these sales teams. And I think that there is a major growth opportunity from that standpoint. So they were like, oh, really? Okay, tell me more. And so we talked through it. Fast forward, probably a month or two later, I get a call from the senior director, and he said, hey, I wanted to talk to you about something. He said, we are discussing doing a little bit of a reorg, and I want you to think about an opportunity in our org. And I said, oh, really? What is that? And he said, well, remember when you gave us that feedback that we need another sales leader in the California market, someone that, lives there and there's a lot of opportunity. I said, yeah. And he said, well, I'd love for you to consider that role. And I'm like, consider that role? Me? It's like, yeah. And I said, oh, no, I'm good. Thank you. That's very nice of you. And I would love an opportunity like that. I mean, that's what I am as a sales leader. However, we just moved here. At this time, we haven't even owned our home very long. And what I've been through since, leaving, what our family has been through, the hardship from California to here, I'm like, and then to pick up, turn around and go back to California. Thank you, but no, thank you. So he says, oh, okay. He said, well, it was a good idea. And, we pitched it to higher leadership, and we think we have the, support of leadership to add headcount to our org. And we think you were right. And I said, great. I'm glad that I could give feedback, and you guys are opening another spot, but not for me. So I came home and I talked to Will about it, and he's like, what? And I was like, yeah. It was my idea, but I didn't mean for me. I meant it would just be a good idea. So I would say a couple days later, I got a call from that same woman that was in the interview, that was the AVP of that org. And she said, yeah, I just wanted to, drop you a call. I know that, so-and-so had spoken to you about this opportunity. And here's her words. I will never forget them. She said, the information that you brought to us was spot on. And we hadn't even identified, one, the opportunity in which was there. And you're the perfect person. It would be, here's the words I'll never forget, a dream come true for me if you would apply for that job. Okay. So this is now my second experience. Now, remember, the job that I'm in now was brought to my attention. Hey, this is something that I think you should look at. But it was the recruiter really, saying, hey, this is something that you should look at. But now this is my first experience with someone at an AVP level that I've worked with closely. I considered her a mentor at that time. And I'm like, wow, that's amazing that she would say that to me, that she thinks that highly of me, because, at this point, of course, I'm looking around like these people can't possibly value or appreciate the time that I've put in to my craft, to my skill, to be, and I humbly say this, a great leader. I take this position as a leader as an honor. I take it with great responsibility. Even though I'm not in a leadership role, I'm, again, naturally leading any opportunity that I see that I can help. So I talked to Will about it, and he's like, okay, well, like, what are we talking about? Like, what is the job, and like, what's the money opportunity, and would they pay for you to relocate? And I'm like, I didn't even ask any of that, because I just thought that this was like the craziest thing. Like, we just bought this house, and he's like, well, I think you should like ask more questions. So I go back to the director and I said, yeah, maybe I have some more questions about this role. And I found out that it was Southern California as opposed to Northern California, which there are definitely more affordable areas in Southern California than the Bay Area. So I said, okay, well, that's good. So long story short, we got to the point where we pretty much had buyers for our home. Like, okay, this is something that we are seriously going to consider. And I remember when I was just so heartbroken about leaving California and knew that this company was a nationwide company, I'm like, well, wait a minute, maybe I'm open to any opportunity of relocation, and maybe this company will take us back to California one day. And I remember saying that early on, and Will reminded me, remember we said that, maybe this company would take us back to California, and, this is our opportunity. So we decided to go ahead and go for it. And we're going through the interview process. And I remember being in the grocery store. It was a Saturday morning. And again, me and the director of the org at that time, we had a great relationship. I mean, we hit it off right when I started, supporting their org. And he called me in the grocery store Saturday and he said, I just want to let you know that you did an amazing job in the interview. This was now, I'm on the last round of the interviews. And he said, you did an amazing job. Of course, they absolutely love you. And I think we're close to making a decision. And I said, oh, okay, well, what are the other candidates looking like? And he's like, well, I can't, exactly discuss that with you. And I said, no, I get it. I appreciate that. He's like, but like I said, you blew it out of the water. You did a phenomenal job. So I expect everything to go well. That's all he said. Okay, great. So I'm reading between the lines. I'm like, yes, I got it. And that I want to say it was Tuesday, he called and he said, I want to give you a verbal offer. And we talked a little bit about that. And he said, you should get something in writing tomorrow from the recruiter. And I'm like, yes. So, I tell Will, what he said, and I'm just excited. Now, don't ask me why I did not remember what happened just, I don't know, maybe it's a couple years now. And I'm like, now also remember that I was struggling with the fact that I had given my word that I was going to stay in this position for 2 years. And I don't remember how far I was off from that. But I'm like, okay, I'll cross that bridge when I get there. The next day, and now it's coming towards the end of the day, and I reached out and I'm like, hey, I haven't heard anything from the recruiter. Oh, yeah. So can we meet for lunch tomorrow at this, there's a really good Mediterranean restaurant in Alpharetta. Can we meet there tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, sure. What time? Oh, meet me there about 1:00. So now I'm starting to think about this and I'm like, is this a celebration lunch? But wouldn't we be celebrating after I sign the offer? Something doesn't feel right, but maybe I'm just paranoid. So I get to the restaurant the next day and we sit down and he's like, well, sister. Yeah, Black gentleman.
Hey, it's Kaylee Cuoco for Priceline. Ready to go to your happy place for a happy price? Well, why didn't you say so? Just download the Priceline app right now and save up to 60% on hotels. So whether it's Cousin Kevin's Kazoo Concert in Kansas City, go Kevin, or Becky's Bachelorette Bash in Bermuda, you never have to miss a trip ever again. So download the Priceline app today. Your savings are waiting.
Go to your happy place for a happy price. Go to your happy price, Priceline.
I hate to tell you this, but we decided to go in another direction. So that must be because at this moment now I'm having a flashback. So now that must be like this corporate line when you tell someone something and you have to renege on what you said, because now that sounds familiar and the part that's a little disheartening is in both cases, these were Black gentlemen who, and don't get me wrong, because this is what I truly believe. In both cases, it wasn't them. It wasn't them. These are people that were both at a director level. And what I believe is that at some point, it was no longer up to them. They were told, despite the decision that they made to hire me, that they were to hire someone else. And maybe, just maybe, it was just a coincidence that in both cases, the people who got hired over me did not look anything like me. But what I know for sure is that in both cases, both candidates were not just a little bit away from my experience, resume, skills, not just a little bit away, but a lot of bit away, a whole lot of bit away. So all of that really, really did not feel good. And I'm sitting there at this table And I'm telling you, remember, this is all new for me, right? Because let's just be real. I'm from the streets. Okay. And the way we handle things a little different where I'm from, but I'm past that. I've grown, I've developed. That's not my current state. Right. But it doesn't change the fact that I at least wanted to say, like, dude, are you for real right now? First of all, do not call me your sister because I am not your sister. And I tell people the story of how I felt in that moment, like, because the real question is, if I was your sister, okay, as in your mother had a daughter, your sister, would we be having the same conversation right now where you asked me to apply for a job? It begged me. When I finally agreed, you acknowledged the fact that I won the interview, because that's what it is, right? It's a competition. Then there's my resume, my skills, my background, my experience, what I bring to the table to qualify me for this job. You give me a verbal, you ask me to go to lunch, and now you're here telling me we've decided to go in another direction. But instead, I said, oh, okay, tell me more. He said, well, I'll tell you, like I said, you did such a great job. We really thought that you were the right fit for the job. And then this young lady, she came out of nowhere. I'll never forget the words he used. And she knocked my socks off. Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, here's the thing. This is what I told him. I said, what is for me is mine. And there is nothing or no one that can take that from me. So, and here's the thing. I believe that. And to this day, I believe that. And every opportunity that I didn't get, just like I'm going to tell you how this one went down, there was always something better that came along. So sometimes people say, well, then, whatever it is, it's going to be. No, I don't think it's quite that far. Okay. What I think happens is that, you still have to do the work. You still have to align yourself in the right place. But when shitty people do shitty things, we have a protector that comes in and just makes things right for you. But you just have to have that mindset and that faith and that belief to know that even though we're out here fighting these battles, there's already someone that's coming before us to win every battle on our behalf. And I believe that. After this lunch, I then find out that I am going to continue to support not just a few, but all of the California accounts in which this person that got the job is supporting. So my first assignment is to go out with her and introduce her to the clients and support her. So when I met her, and listen, I am not, I say this humbly, she is a great person. I have nothing bad to say about her. But what I know is that there is just no way that she won the interview competition. I would say, and this is all hearsay, but I was told that higher leadership was just very disappointed in that decision. Now you're probably thinking, like, what about the AVP that was involved in this? Not even a phone call, not even a follow-up, not even, as a matter of fact, when I eventually saw her in the cafe in passing, she couldn't even look me in the eyes. She saw me, and the guilt was written all over her face, all over her face. So I kept a positive attitude. I moved on, and this would have been a manager, a regional manager role. Okay. Not only actually the role that I got after that was not a manager role, but the role that role led into was a senior manager role. So at some point I passed up that position while she was still in it. And then fast forward, that entire team ended up getting eliminated while I continued to move on. So there is no doubt that one of two things happened in that interaction. Either I was protected, right, by not getting that role. And I'm not talking about by them. I'm talking about by the king of all the kings. Or once the wrong had been done, I was then lifted and rewarded for the wrong and given something better because of that. Okay. I can tell you so many stories that the end and the moral of the story is just that. I know that there are plenty of people in corporate America that can tell plenty of stories just like the one that I just told. And I hope that you are not jaded by these experiences. I hope that you are not down, unmotivated, broken. I hope that you have the same mindset that you just have to keep going. You just have to accept the fact that if God allows it, that means He knows that you can overcome it. So I got over it. I moved on. I kept fighting. And I said, well, the good news is I don't have to come back and tell my leader, hey, I know I committed to 2 years in this role, which, by the way, no one in their right mind, if a opportunity comes their way, someone brings it to their attention, no one in their right mind is thinking, well, I have a loyalty to this. Nobody thinks that way, but me. And I'm learning as I navigate these waters that I can't be more loyal to anyone before myself and my family. Because at the end of the day, no one is loyal to me. I am there to do a job. And the moment their strategy says that that job is going to be eliminated, there is no connection of loyalty. If I am in the org that's being eliminated, that's what's going to happen. So I'm still learning that. But the good news for me in that situation I remember thinking, well, now I don't have to go back and, tell the leader of this org that I'm leaving early and I'm just going to move on. But I have to go out and basically partner with this person. And listen, at the end of the day, she's just trying to move up too, right? So she didn't do anything wrong as far as I know. She's just trying to move out. She just went for a role just like I went for a role. So I left there first and foremost, reminding myself that it is never a done deal until that offer is signed, sealed, and delivered. I left there reminding myself that this person that I thought we had such a great relationship with often called me, "Hey, sister." We were not brothers and sisters. So I moved on. I kept going. That's what we do.
Thank you for tuning in to another insightful episode of Lead Like a Girl. We hope you found today's podcast valuable. If you enjoyed our podcast, please consider subscribing and leaving a review on your preferred platform. Your feedback is crucial in helping us continue to provide high-quality content. If you found the content inspiring, we would like to encourage you to share this podcast with your network. Stay tuned for more inspiring stories and leadership insights on Lead Like a Girl. Until next time, lead with passion and purpose.